Seewald, and this is Authentic Parenting, a podcast about personal development in the context of parenting, where I explore how you can find more calm, connection, and joy in parenting through the process of self-discovery and inner growth with a trauma-informed lens. Hello and welcome to the final episode of 2019. Another year has passed, and what a fantastic year. Before I sat down to record this episode, I went back and listened to the last year's final episode, and wow, I was blown away. Each year, this podcast gets bigger and better, and it's with audience participation. It was truly moving listening to the voices of people I've come to know more about, what their favorite episodes were, how the podcast is changing their life. It's really remarkable and humbling. Have you listened to that episode? Today, I am going to share with you my reflections of 2019, some lessons that I have learned through the podcast, what the year meant for me, and of course, the top 10 episodes of 2019, and what's coming in the new year. Some personal updates from me, besides getting new red glasses, a new microphone. I also moved with my family geographically right around the time that I was putting out my first live event. My daughter started middle school, and I relaunched my booklet, 15 Keys to Effective Communication, Building Strong Parent-Child Relationship. Originally published in 2015, this booklet now not only has gotten a facelift, it has a beautiful new cover, but it also comes with podcast episode suggestions. It has 15 keys, and each key is accompanied by an appropriate podcast episode. Get a copy today for yourself on Amazon, and I hope you will find it helpful. Communication is a huge part of any relationship, especially parenting. You will learn how to engage your child's willing cooperation by using the language of acceptance. Listen with love, set realistic expectations, break the cycle of negativity, and become an effective communicator. The 2019 was a phenomenal year. I organized our very first live event, the Authentic Parenting Conference, that brought together 60 people from around the country. People came from Minnesota, Washington State, New Hampshire, Delaware, New York, and it was truly an amazing, heartwarming day, meeting my listeners in real life. If you missed the first event, I am going to organize another one in 2020, so be sure to sign up for my mailing list, follow me on Instagram, or join our Authentic Parenting community on Facebook, so you will be the first one to hear when the tickets go on sale. There are 2 episodes that I would recommend for you to check out that talk about the event. Episode 179, Takeaways from the Authentic Parenting Conference 2019, with the MC of the conference, a friend and a fellow podcaster, Carrie Gormley, and another one with my dear friend, colleague, and co-host, Laura Froyen, episode 180. It's called Unplugged. Laura Froyen and Anna Seewald. We recorded this episode right after the event. We were tired, exhausted, but we made sure to capture the fresh impressions, the opinions, the feelings right after the event. It feels like it was a dream, and I can't believe it happened. I still have the art pieces that we made during the conference, and it's really heartwarming to remember. I look forward to the Authentic Parenting Conference /Retreat 2020. each year I reflect back and choose a word to describe what the podcast brought to me, what it meant for me. Last year, that word was community. And sure enough, the Authentic Parenting Conference signified that word. This year, without a doubt, the word of the year for me is relationships. I have built intimate relationships with individual listeners, and I have come to know people on a deeper level. We've become friends with many of the listeners, and I couldn't imagine my life without them. I have worked with many people who hired me to be their parent coach and help them throughout their challenges. And it's been such an honor and privilege. I've come to know many people. And in the words of Julie Starr, who left a review on Apple Podcasts, when she says she wants to hear from you, she means it. I do mean it. And I get back to you with a quick response. And I usually send an audio message. I've been messaging with people and it's been such a joy. So if you want to get in touch, if you want to share your story, if you have a question, a comment, or just simply say hello, I want to hear from you, you know how to find me. And speaking of relationships, Amber from Australia has become a true friend. She has the best ideas ever. It was Amber who suggested that people who couldn't come to the Authentic Parenting Conference submit video greetings, and we had received many from around the world. And I have put together a video collage that we played at the conference. I will have a link in the show notes if you want to check out that video. It's really heartwarming. Amber has also interviewed me on the podcast. The Dark Side of Motherhood is the title of that episode. She also participated in an on-air coaching call. She's truly amazing. She sends me feedback almost after every episode. And recently, she initiated something. She asked me about the Patreon page that I had created a couple of years ago. And I had told her the update that I have 8 supporters. And she said that she felt compelled to record an ad for the podcast. And would I be open to such an idea? I said, yes, go for it. And she did. Before I play the ad for you, I want to mention what Patreon is. And I want to highlight and honor the people who support me on there. Patreon.com, spelled Patreon.com, is a platform where creatives, podcasters, artists get support from their fans. I have a page on there, and we have multiple levels of support. You can become a patron and support the show by giving a small amount, as little as $2 a month, to say thank you and to show your love for the podcast. I have 10 supporters on Patreon.com, and I want to recognize and honor them now. Number 1, of course, is Amber from Australia. Next is Anna Mazuranitz. She is from Switzerland. Then I have Angela Sherman. She's from the United States. Then we have Ben Yao from California. Then we have Charlotte Ireland from UK, Julie Starr from Chicago, Kevin Fons from the United States, Ranella from New Jersey from the United States, Sarah Lee Boo from the United States, Shannon Gingerelli from the United States, and Valerie Fogg from Australia. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for believing in my work and supporting the podcast. It means the world to me. And if you want to support the podcast and become a patron of the show, you can simply go to patreon.com. In the search bar, type either Anna Seewald or Authentic Parenting, and you will see my page. I have several levels of support. The first one is fan, that starts at $2, then super fan, then rock star, then unicorn, angel, and VIP. By the way, these are names that my daughter, who was 9 years old at the time, came up with, and I kept it. So will you be a fan, a super fan, or a rock star? It's up to you. However, if you do not want to commit to a monthly support, you can do a one-time donation from the heart. There is a link on my website, always, Authentic Parenting, that you can find at authenticparenting.com/podcast. There is a button that says Give from the Heart. And through PayPal, you can make a small donation.
Hi, it's Amber from Australia, and I thought I would do a special plug for Anna for her patreon.com website. If you go to patreon.com, you can find Anna on Authentic Parenting there. I really encourage you guys to get on and make a donation. When I had a chat to her recently, I asked how she covered the costs, and Anna mentioned it costs about $500 to do the episodes each month. And she was fortunate to have 8 people who were donating on patreon.com, and she would get $35 from that donation. Well, I didn't realize there's a bit of a gap there between 500 and 35. So I thought that I'd give a shout out to all the Aussie listeners there. There's a few of us, and I know how much all of us appreciate the work that Anna's doing. The guests are so interesting, and we know how much work goes into preparing a podcast. So I thought I would make a suggestion. If you guys need ideas for Christmas, or you want to make a Christmas donation to Anna, let's show some Aussie love to Anna and her podcast by getting on board the donations. I've signed up for $10 a month, and I'm excited to what Anna's going to bring in the new year, and I feel great that I can show her my support.
One big milestone we celebrated this year was the 200th episode. I have never missed an episode in the history of the podcast. I had never missed a week. I had never missed an episode. Somehow, I couldn't get around recording the 200th episode. I was procrastinating. I had doubts. I had so many ideas that I did not know what to do. I wanted to make it special. Then I was like, no, I shouldn't make it special. And I delayed. Then one morning, after a meditation and a long walk in nature, I had a light bulb moment. I contacted my community manager, Lauren Thomas, and basically invited her to do the episode with me. And she graciously agreed without any hesitation. In a true Anna Seewald style, free flow, spontaneous, and organic. And it turned out great. Have you listened to the 200th episode? The good, the bad, and the unexpected? Lauren is great. She really asked amazing questions, some personal questions, some podcasting questions. What were my top favorite guests, episodes, the unexpected things that happened, episodes that went off the rail, and so on and so forth. It's worth a listen. If you are a longtime faithful listener of the podcast, you need to listen to the 200th episode. And now, ladies and gentlemen, drum roll. I want to share with you the top 10 episodes of 2019. Surprising list. The episodes that I thought that will make the top 10 never made the top 10. Number 10 is a special episode that I do with my colleague and friend, Laura Froyen. It's called What Not to Say and How to Say No Without Actually Saying It. If you've never listened to the special episodes that I record with Laura, then you are missing out on a lot of good stuff. We not only answer your parenting questions, but we also share personal stories from our lives. By the way, you can send your questions at any time, even now. Call 732-763-2576 and leave a voicemail. Email info@authenticparenting.com. Or if you don't want to remember any of this, go to authenticparenting.com/contact and you can see the many ways of getting in touch with me. Number 9 is the Japanese way of parenting. Number 8 is teaching mindfulness to kids with Peter Moses. I met Peter at a conference I was speaking at last year, and he was a speaker as well. And when I attended his session, I knew I wanted to invite him to the podcast. It's a fantastic episode with lots of practical suggestions, how you can teach your children breathing exercises and mindfulness. Number 7 on the list is The Dark Side of Motherhood, an interview with me conducted by Amber Sinham from Australia. It's all about the hardship. Amber wanted to know more about my own motherhood journey, especially the beginning of motherhood. And this episode has generated a lot of buzz. I guess maybe the title, The Dark Side of Motherhood. I don't know. Number 6 is Healing Unresolved Trauma with my colleague, Tasha Shore, where she shared a story of resilience and recovery. You know, she hit rock bottom and fell into a deep despair and depression and how she came out of it. Number 5 is a coaching episode. The coaching episodes are very popular. This one particularly is pretty big. How to set firm limits with kindness with one of the Authentic Parenting community member, Zara. And by the way, the people who come to do the on-air coaching episodes are just so brave, and I have so much respect for them. If you have never listened to any of the coaching episodes, you are missing out. In fact, number 4 on the list is another coaching episode, How to Curb Backtalk, Teach Respect and Responsibility, with Evelyn from Canada. On the 3rd place is How to Respond When Your Child is Disrespectful, another special episode with my co-host, Laura Froyen. I can't remember what questions we answered in this episode, but I do remember the story that I shared of how my daughter was being disrespectful towards me. Number 2 is Raising Emotionally Healthy Kids with Maureen Healy. Now, if you have listened to the 200th episode, then you know the real story behind this episode. I shared a secret. And look, this episode is on the 2nd place. And number 1, which I'm not surprised, is How to Stop Losing Your Beep with Your Kids, with witty and funny Carla Numberg, who has a book by the same title. Carla was a returning guest, and this episode is a really good one. So, which episodes you need to go and listen like ASAP? Which ones have you listened? Which ones have you not? So, which one were your favorite episodes? Have you listened to all top 10 episodes? Quite frankly, I was very surprised not to find the interview with amazing Mark Nepo in the top 10. It is one of my favorite episodes of all time, and I was really surprised not to find it in the top 10. It is episode 163, How to Make Peace with Your Past and Heal Your Life, with Mark Nepo. I strongly encourage you to listen to that episode. It's so moving, inspiring, and is filled with little pearls of wisdom. If you'd like to learn more about me and my story, and by the way, you should know about your host, I invite you to listen to the following episodes. Episode 104, Overcoming Childhood Adversity, is an interview with me on the Grief Dreams podcast, where I really in detail shared my experience of surviving the severe earthquake in 1988. This is not a cheerful episode, so if you're going to listen to this during the holidays, I would reconsider that choice. I have done a couple of Ask Me Anything episodes in the past, and I really like them. I may bring this Ask Me Anything format back again in 2020. Episode 58, Ask Me Anything. I honestly cannot remember anything about this episode, but I think I was chatting with listeners who had burning questions for me at the time about the podcast, about my personal life, and parenting, I believe. There is another episode squished in between episode 128 and 129. And I believe since this episode does not have a number, it must be a bonus episode. And it's titled Ask Me Anything. In this episode, I believe I shared how I was parented. I share about my work with court-ordered parenting clients, and so on and so forth. There are a couple of episodes where my daughter makes an appearance. She has interviewed me on the podcast on episode 74, and episode 92, she shares her impressions after visiting Armenia for the first time and meeting my dad for the first time. And here are some lessons that I've learned in 2019 by doing the podcast. During one of my recent walks in nature, I was thinking about the final episode of 2019, and I was contemplating what lessons I have come to learn through doing so many interviews. And of course, in order not to forget my thoughts, I record them using the voice memo app on my phone. And I am going to play that short, unedited, raw audio for you right now. What are some lessons I learned through interviewing so many people on the podcast and doing the podcast is that you have a choice. No matter what you're going through in life, you have a choice. And when you recognize that you are suffering, just a fact alone, that acceptance of the suffering will bring you so much freedom. Read that post here. That's what I learned, that no matter what, we are resilient. We can cultivate and have better, meaningful, happier lives. We have a choice. We're not a victim to the circumstances of our life. Yes, it may not be easy. Yes, we may not be able to do it all by ourselves. That would be even silly. But just the fact to recognize that you're not a victim, you have a choice, you have a power to change your life, no matter what your circumstances. And from that awareness, then you can take action steps, seeking help, going through therapy, starting a self-healing or a healing process, enlisting friends, breaking up with someone, setting boundaries, getting out of an abusive relationship, saying no to people and commitments and to stories that no longer serve you. Second, I learned over and over again the power of meditation in bringing you more inner peace, happiness, less reactivity, more presence, connection to yourself and to the world around you. I've been a practicer of meditation for many years, and through the interviews, I come to realize that this is huge.
Self-care, another big theme, keeps coming up. Taking care of your own needs, managing your stress and being aware of it, keeping that in the forefront of your life and not neglecting yourself is huge. With that, again, you will have a better relationship with yourself, with others around you. You will be a happier, more fulfilled person, less needy and clingy to things and people. And again, be in charge of creating your own life, the experiences that you want. And that's really, truly sounds simple, but it's very empowering. I also learned that by sharing our stories is very cathartic. It's healing. I try to do this for myself as well, sharing stories with a loved one, with a trusted friend, a confidant, or on a podcast, just speaking up and sharing the events that played major role and shaped us, being open with ourselves and vulnerable and not be afraid of judgment, rejection, give voice to those stories and liberate ourselves from the tyranny of emotional hurt and shame that lingers and holds us hostage and imprisons us for years. That's what I learned this year. So the podcast, the true power of storytelling, that we all have stories and they're all worth sharing, recognizing, and honoring. And by being open, vulnerable, and eager to share, we bring freedom to ourselves and we give permission to others to step into their truth and find freedom for themselves.
Okay, let's play a little game. How well do you know me? Or how attentively do you listen to the podcast? What word do I overuse during my interviews? Is it A, absolutely, B, perhaps, C, incredible, or D, truly? No cheating. Get in touch, let me know, and the first one to get it right will get a small gift from me, some kind of authentic parenting product. And yes, we do have some merchandise. Each year, I choose a word of the year for myself. So the word for 2019 was essential. I committed to doing only essential things and eliminating anything that was not essential or meaningful. And I think I did pretty well. I also created a list of 19 goals and dreams, 19 for 2019. And I would like to go over that list and share with you what I have accomplished. Number one on my 19 for 2019 list is print photos and finish Armenia 27 photo album. I did that. I have printed a ton of pictures from my trip after 12 years to my motherland with my family. I purchased an album. However, I have not put the pictures in the album yet. Yes, it's been 2 years. Number 2 on the list is take Ella to the Color Factory in New York City. Yes, we did that. Number 3, host more dinner parties. Yes, checked. Number 4, organize the family big gathering. Yes, I did that as well. Number 5, do more art projects with Ella. No, I failed at this one. Number 6 is get a massage. Yes, check. Number 7, read fiction. No, I'm not getting a gold star. I still read a lot of nonfiction. even though I read a lot of poetry this year. Number 8, call overseas relatives and friends more frequently. I have to say I started out great, but then somehow I couldn't maintain this commitment. So I'm not getting a gold star for this. Number 9, start my book, the journal that I wanted to put together. And yes, I started it, but that's about it. So I think, yes, I'm going to check this one. Number 10 on my list was walk daily 6,000 steps. Yes. Number 11, lose some weight, drink more water, and exercise regularly. I clumped up all those things together in one point. And yes, I'm giving myself a gold star for doing that. Number 12 on my list was dress up more because let's face it, I wear always like athletic gear, yoga outfits, and I think I did pretty well this year. Number 13, get regular health checkups. I am not positive if I can say that I followed through. Number 14 was show Ella my childhood movies. And yes, I did that. There were a couple of Russian Soviet movies that I found on YouTube with subtitles. And yes, I showed them to my daughter. And if you are from the Soviet Union, you may remember those movies. «Приключения электроника» and «Гостья из будущего», 2 of my favorite films. Number 15 is create a vision board with Ella. Yes, we did each create a vision board for ourselves for 2019. Number 16, walk on the Brooklyn Bridge. I did not walk, but we drove. So I guess that counts. Number 17, take a dance class. Yes, I did that. I signed up for an adult jazz class. Number 18 on my list is volunteer again. And I did volunteer. I love senior citizens and I started volunteering at the nursing home in my town. And number 19 on my list, because it was hard to come up with so many items, was something mysterious and unexpected. And guess what? Something truly did happen to me unexpected, and I come to treasure that experience. So that was my list for 2019, and I started a new list for 2020. So far, I came up with, I think, 5 items. These things are not easy. Do you create such lists? I encourage you to come up with your 20 for 2020. And please do share with me, either in our Facebook group or privately. I would love to hear what you have on your list. So far on my list, I have number 1, get a fun and funky haircut. Yes, I am going to do this. Number 2, I have organize the Authentic Parenting Retreat. Number 3, podcast merchandise. This is all about podcasting. Somehow this podcast is taking over my life. Number 4 is patreon.com. Again, about podcasting. Then I have explore movement and creativity. We'll have to see what that entails. And as for the word of the year, I have not been able to narrow it down. So far, I have a few words on my list: cozy, inner peace, boundary, up level, growth. But I will eventually choose a word and I'll be happy to share it with you. With that, thank you for listening and supporting the show. It means the world to me. Follow me on Instagram, the only social media platform I use and enjoy, as much as you can enjoy social media platforms. My username is Authentic Parenting Podcast. Nothing mysterious there. But I do post almost daily. You get to see my life in real life, pretty much. Here is to another wonderful year together. I also want to say thank you to Danny Osment and his team at Emerald City Productions for working on this podcast and giving you the best audio experience ever. Without them, the podcast will not be the same. And as always, connect to the present moment, to yourself and your children. I am Anna Seewald. Happy holidays, Happy New Year, and see you in 2020. Don't forget to subscribe to the show, rate and review it on Apple Podcasts. Cheers.